Hey you, everyone! Remember the 90s? Back when grunge was king, cassette players were the thing, and toys were, well, let's just say, interesting. We had some real winners back then, but some of these toys vanished faster than my hopes and dreams of becoming a Backstreet Boy. Seriously, these things disappeared quicker than a pack of Dunkaroos at a sleepover. One minute they were all the rage, the next, poof, gone. Like did someone just snap their fingers Thanos style and say, "Outta here, Beanie Babies." Alright, first up, let's talk Pogs. Remember those bad boys? Cardboard discs with like the coolest designs ever? I'm talking slammin' holographic dinosaurs, radical neon splatters, and maybe even a sweet Lisa Frank unicorn if you were lucky. We slammed those things with metal slammers like we were trying to win the World Series of Pogs. You had your collection, your lucky slammer, the whole 9 yards. But then, just like that, they were gone. One day you're the king of the playground, the next you're holding onto a stack of cardboard wondering what it all meant. Pogs, man. They were here. They were everywhere. And then they were gone, leaving us all with a sense of emptiness only a Tamagotchi could understand. Next up, we've got those furry little gremlins, the Furbies. They talked gibberish, had creepy little eyes, and somehow everyone wanted one. I'm pretty sure I spent an entire summer trying to teach mine to say my name. Spoiler alert, it never did. But hey, Furbies weren't just for talking, or not talking. Oh no, these little guys were multi-talented. I knew a kid who used his Furby as a bowling pin, another one used theirs as a doorstop. Hey, you gotta give it to them, Furbies were versatile. But like everything else in the 90s, their time in the spotlight was fleeting. One minute they're the hottest thing since sliced surge, the next, they're silent, staring at you from the back of your closet. Okay, remember that toy that basically yelled at you? Yeah, the bop it, twist it, pull it. It was like having a tiny drill sergeant living in your toy box. And those commercials, don't even get me started. They were like something out of a fever dream, with kids contorting themselves in ways humans were never meant to. But hey, it worked. We all wanted to bop it, even if it meant looking like a complete goofball trying to keep up. But just like that, it was over. Bop It went from being the life of the party to the awkward kid standing alone by the punch bowl. Ah, Beanie Babies, the plush toys that promised riches beyond your wildest dreams. I'm still convinced my mom is sitting on a goldmine of Princess the Bear and Garcia the Bear. I mean, they were called investments, right? Everyone had them. Grandmas, uncles, that weird neighbor down the street who only wore sweatpants. People were convinced they'd be sending their kids to college on a mountain of beanbag animals. But then, the bubble burst. Turns out, those rare Princess Di Bears weren't so rare after all. My dreams of a Beanie Baby-funded trip to Disney World, crushed. Magic Eye books. The books that promised a hidden 3D world if you just stared at them long enough. I spent countless hours crossing my eyes trying to will those dolphins and spaceships into existence. Most of the time, all I got was a headache and the feeling that I was missing some crucial part of my brain. And then, just like magic, they disappeared. Maybe they actually were magic. Maybe staring at them too long transported them to another dimension. Or maybe, just maybe, people realized that blurry images weren't exactly the most exciting form of entertainment. Tamagotchis, the digital pets that taught a generation the harsh realities of responsibility, or at least the responsibility of remembering to feed a pixelated blob every few hours. These little guys were basically keychains with a god complex. You didn't feed them on time, they died. You didn't clean up their digital poop, they died. You looked at them wrong, you guessed it, they died. But then, just like that, they vanished. Some say it was a mass extinction event caused by a global shortage of digital batteries. Others say the Tamagotchis staged a coup and escaped into the vast digital ether. Whatever happened, they left behind a generation of traumatized 90s kids who swore off digital pets forever. Moon shoes. The footwear that promised to make you bounce like you were walking on, well, the moon. Except they didn't really bounce that high, and they were kind of clunky. And let's be honest, they made you look like you were wearing 2 inflatable pizzas on your feet. But hey, for a glorious fleeting moment, we were all astronauts in training, boldly going where no kid had gone before. Or at least, not without looking utterly ridiculous. But just like that, they were gone. Maybe they finally achieved liftoff and blasted off to that big shoe store in the sky. Super Soakers, the kings of summer, the emperors of water warfare, the undisputed champions of backyard battles. These weren't your grandma's water pistols. These were high-powered, water-blasting machines of mass soaking. You haven't lived until you've experienced the sheer joy of unleashing a torrent of water on your unsuspecting friends and family. But like all good things, the reign of the Super Soaker eventually came to an end. Maybe people got tired of being soaked. Maybe we all finally achieved peak hydration. Or maybe, just maybe, the world wasn't ready for that much power in the hands of children. The Skip-It, the toy that was basically a plastic ball on a string that you swung around your ankle. Sounds simple, right? Well, it was, until you inevitably tripped over the string, launched it into your neighbor's yard, or worse, clocked yourself in the ankle. But hey, for a hot minute we were all master skip-iters, racking up those rotations like nobody's business. And then faster than you could say ankle injury, they were gone. Vanished. Disappeared into the abyss of forgotten 90s fads. The Talkboy, the voice-changing cassette recording gadget that every kid wanted after seeing Home Alone 2. I mean, who didn't want to record their voice and make it sound like a chipmunk or a robot? It was basically the smartphone of the 90s, minus the smartphone part. But like Kevin McAllister's plan to catch the wet bandits, the Talkboy's reign was short-lived. Maybe it was the whole cassette tape thing that did it in. Or maybe it was the fact that once the novelty of sounding like a robot wore off, you were basically left with a glorified tape recorder. Either way, the Talkboy faded into obscurity, leaving behind a generation of kids with half-full cassette tapes and dreams of voice-changing glory. Gigapets. The virtual pets that were like Tamagotchis but with more pixels, they were basically the upgrade we didn't ask for but got anyway. But just like their pixelated predecessors, Gigapets eventually went the way of the dinosaurs. Maybe it was the constant feeding and cleaning, maybe it was the crushing guilt when they inevitably died, or maybe it was the realization that we were pouring our hearts and souls into caring for a bunch of pixels on a keychain. Whatever the reason, Gigapets went extinct, proving that sometimes even evolution can't save a fad. Creepy crawlers, the toy that lets you create your own creepy crawly creatures out of gooey, colorful goop. Sure, they were kinda messy and smelled a little weird, but they were our gooey, colorful goop. But just like those crawlers themselves, the fad eventually cooled off and hardened. Maybe it was the limited edition molds that were impossible to find. Maybe it was the fear of burning yourself on the hot plate. Or maybe it was the realization that playing with molten plastic wasn't as cool as it sounded. Lightbright, the toy that let you create glowing masterpieces one tiny colored peg at a time. It was basically the OG pixel art, only way less digital and way more time-consuming. But like a dying light bulb, Lightbright eventually faded to black. Maybe it was the constant struggle of finding the right colored pegs. Maybe it was the disappointment of realizing your creations looked nothing like the box. Or maybe it was the realization that staring at a bunch of glowing pegs in a dark room wasn't exactly the most stimulating activity. Stretch Armstrong, the muscle-bound man of mystery who could stretch to incredible lengths. He was basically the human rubber band, only way less practical and way more prone to getting covered in lint. But like our patience for toys that ended up as sticky, deformed messes, Stretch Armstrong eventually reached his breaking point. Maybe it was the inevitable moment when he'd snap, leaving you with a sad, deflated husk of a toy. Maybe it was the realization that stretching him out too far made him look like a melted candle. Or maybe it was the fear that he was secretly judging us for our lack of stretching ability. Polly Pocket, the miniature dollhouses that were basically a choking hazard waiting to happen. But hey, they were cute, compact, and you could take them anywhere, as long as you didn't mind losing half the pieces along the way. But just like our childhood dreams, Polly Pocket eventually shrunk down to nothing. Maybe it was the frustration of trying to pry open those tiny cases without breaking a nail. Maybe it was the realization that playing with them required the dexterity of a brain surgeon. Or maybe, just maybe, all those missing Polly Pockets, Beanie Babies, and Talkboys are hiding out together in some secret toy vault, plotting their triumphant return. So there you have it, folks, a trip down memory lane to revisit some of the most iconic toys of the 90s. They may be gone, but they'll never be forgotten. Well, maybe except for the Skip-It. Seriously, what was up with that thing? What were your favorite 90s toys? Did you have any of these? Let me know in the comments below, and hey, if you're from the 90s, let me know you're still out there. Unless you vanished just as quickly as a bop it after the batteries died. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more nostalgic trips down memory lane.